Good afternoon and welcome to Mr. Patrick's Corner. Today we're going to talk about Joe Biden's speech about how he wants to, the anti-inflationary speech and how this is going to improve things and how he wants to increase civics in the classrooms. Wow, civics in the classroom. You know, he's been in government for almost 50 years. And I just don't see now he's finding out that most people don't know anything about the Constitution, how the government is run, how we got only 435 congressmen, and there's two senators from every state, so that's like there's 100 senators. I just don't quite understand Joe Biden. He's going to teach about the Constitution. And he's going to talk about the Bill of Rights. And then he's trying to get rid of the Second Amendment. That's Joe Biden. Gavin Newsom's another one. Oh, he's a wonderful guy, Gavin Newsom is. He's another politician. He's come up with he wants to get rid of nitrogen in the fertilizer. Well, for most people, that doesn't sound important, but 72% of the air that we breathe, that's nitrogen. Now, why is nitrogen important in the soil? Well, you need that to increase the yields, crop yields. And that's very important. Now, you don't have to use genetic modified seeds to do that. You can just use fertilizer, chemical fertilizers. And chemical fertilizers are very important. And my cousin Howard and my cousin Ronnie were going to tell you, well, they hire an agronomist. That's a guy who comes out, looks at the field, does the testing, and tries to cut back on the nitrogen fertilizer because that's money out of his pocket. So I don't quite understand this. And then we have Gavin Newsom, who's trying to destroy our state. You know, the EPA in this state has come up with an idea which is really fantastic. They want every RV owner in the state that has an RV over 14,000 pounds gross weight to get it air certified at least 4 times a year. Now, that might sound all right, but where are you going to get it tested? Because mostly cars and light trucks get tested. RVs, I'm not talking about those giant behemoths out there. I'm talking about the normal, average, Class C RV. Well, they also want to do this they wanted to do it for people coming into our state. Can you imagine you're on vacation and then some guy tells you, well, you got to spend $500 to get your RV tested so you can come into our state. Our friend Gavin Newsom, who's going to try his luck in 2024 for the presidency of the United States, or maybe the vice presidency, because he's not any brainier than Kamala Harris and he's got more money. So this is how he plans to do it. People coming in from out of state, well, they would have to get their vehicle tested, even if they come from a state that doesn't do air quality testing. So they would be required to do it, and they would be required to do it 4 times a year, just like California. Also, large trucks would have to do it. Well, the RV industry got very annoyed with Mr. Gavin Newsom and said that wasn't a doable proposition. So the Air Quality Board came back and said, well, we'll give you 3 days to drive around California, and then you could drive out. You wouldn't have to do any testing. And I like to have them explain that to Disneyland, or the theme park in Burbank, or Griffith Park, or the zoos, San Diego, the wild safari land that they have. And then you're going to tell them, well, you only got 3 days. You got to hustle your fanny around. Well, People who go on vacation don't want to hustle. They want to enjoy themselves. They want their children to enjoy themselves. They want to spend time and they want to spend money. You know that thing that you totally don't seem to comprehend, that people need to live? Okay, that's our boy Gavin Newsom. So they came back and said to the RV industry, well, you don't have to do that. We're gonna exempt you. You're going to be exempted. Now, my question in regards to this is very simple. When Gavin Newsom leaves office, what's to prevent that law from taking effect? He can sign that on his way out the door, and the rest of you poor schmucks are going to feel it. That means less visitors to Disneyland, to San Diego, up north to San Francisco. San Francisco, I wouldn't go right now because of those wonderful, thieves and varlets and everything else, and we can't put them in jail because their lives matter. They might break your window, cost you $2,000 or $3,000, but then, hey, what's a little crime? Okay, I'm being sarcastic. I like to be sarcastic. What I'd like to see the state do is, like Mr. President Biden said, he wants to teach civics again. Well, it's about 40 years too late. You should teach civics, and that means you got to teach about the First Amendment, the right to freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, freedom to lobby your congressman. Now, you can lobby your congressman or your senator, but if you don't have a couple of $1,000,000 in your pocket, like Gavin Newsom got, he came up with this wonderful idea that we're going to go to a single-payer system. Well, the single-payer system was really good, and he was going to really push it through, but the Democrats got $6 million, and Gavin Newsom got $1,000,000, and then it sort of slipped off the radar. I don't think we'll do that right now. Well, we have to wait a few more years because he got paid off by the drug companies and the medical, same guys. That always happens. This is America, where you can bribe, according to the Supreme Court, you can bribe your legislature. It's called a campaign donation, and it's based on the idea that that's a form of speech. I give you X amount of dollars for a ham sandwich, you give me a ham sandwich. In the old days, that was called bribery, but, hey, we got to look at it from a different lens. That's America, that's California. And we've had some really skunky people. We had Union Pacific. That's where we got the amendment process. Union Pacific was basically had all the California legislatures in the Senate and the Assembly in their hip pocket. So the people of California got together and came up with the amendment to the Constitution. And we have a lot of amendments. We got, I think, almost 144 amendments to the California State Constitution. And some of them have been good and some of them have been bad. And it's like everything else. We're expecting good government from people who don't do anything but government. You don't have very many truck drivers there. You don't have many school teachers. You don't have very many of anything. Every working stiff, they're not represented. We keep saying that this is a way that we have representative government. Well, we don't have representative because most of those guys are lawyers or, professional politicians. They have no understanding of what the average person goes for. If they realized that, I wouldn't be paying anything for my diabetes medicine. I would be able to go to a doctor, pick out a good doctor, and stay with him. Well, we can't do that now. This state is messed up. Like teaching civics in the schools of California. Civics is a very important thing. You take this pamphlet, the the congressmen and the congressmen and senators usually mail this to you for free, and you should be passing them out. It's like you read your Constitution, you get an understanding of what's going on, and then you can say something about it. My father used to have this great expression: if you don't put your nickel in, you don't have any right to complain. He voted all the time. Believe it or not, I got paid $10 for somebody to hear what I think of their ideas. They took me in and asked me questions about what I think and what needs to be done in California. Well, they kept trying to change the track. It's just like, what party do you belong to? And I said the Green Party. And I said the reason I belong to the Green Party is I have a lot of the things that the Green Party is trying to do sound good. But I also am an independent because a lot of stuff the Green Party is doing doesn't sound good. Right now we have a single party state. It's Democratic. And you'd figure that they'd actually come up with something. We have Dianne Feinstein, who I think is senile. I don't know if she's senile, but her actions don't exactly give me a lot of confidence. And her husband got into that San Francisco post office deal. That was another gimme. You know, I'm tired of seeing politicians enrich themselves. Even Barack Obama, the man who I voted for twice, he let me down. I was expecting a black Franklin Delano Roosevelt. What I got was a black guy who got elected and then figured out how to scam, like Bill Clinton. You know, I don't think we need any more black Bill Clintons or white or Barack Obamas. I think what we need is good, competent government. It's just like they make this deal now. They're sending illegal immigrants. They're sending them Martha Vineyard. Gee, maybe I should become an illegal immigrant, and then I could go to Martha Vineyards. I'd like to work there. It looks like a nice town to live in because it's got all these money men and money people, and they have a problem filling service jobs because they're too rich to want to do stoop labor or clean the dishes or cook or anything else. That's the thing about these rich people. They have about as much idea of what's going on as you can see. Now, I don't believe we should have, this barrier. We're going to build a wall. Instead of building a wall, why don't you just simply issue a national identification card that could show, yes, I'm a resident, or I'm a resident of the state I'm a resident of the United States and I belong here. I also have the right to buy a firearm. It doesn't tell in this identification card, it doesn't say how many guns you bought or when you bought them, but it says you have the right to buy a firearm. Now, that makes sense to me, but do you think that that's a simple idea? They don't want to do that. And we have 12 to 13 million illegal aliens living in the country. Maybe we should go sort them out. The ones that haven't done any crime, they should be granted an amnesty. Yeah, I know, Ronnie Reagan gave an amnesty. And we have had more and more problems. The trouble is, because we made the border tighter, it used to be Latinos, Mexicans especially, would come back and forth across the border. They'd work during the picking season and then they'd go home. And then, Ronnie Reagan said, no, that's not good. So he gave amnesty. He said, this is going to be the last one. And it hasn't worked out because it became tougher and tougher to cross the border. So most people decided to stay. Well, that's it for today. I've shut off my wonderful opinions. I've been on my soapbox. Please like and subscribe. Again, please subscribe and like. Have a nice afternoon. Bye-bye.